Good morning. Good to see everybody. And swap this around. There we go. All right, there I am. All right. Hey, everybody. Good morning. I hope everybody's well. I am doing amazing. We just finished up the fourth event here at Rocky Creek Ranch. Wow. Wowza. Had an amazing soul. Had amazing souls here. Had one, the farthest ever traveling from Belgium, Antwerp, Belgium. Sophie was here. That was kind of cool. And instantly fell in love with her. What an amazing soul. So the conversation today I wanted to chat with you about is adjust versus compromise. Adjust versus compromise. Too many of us, too many people that come to me and ask for help and say, hey, listen, things have changed in my life and I need to do things different. I've got to change my relationship. I've got to change my business model. I got to change the way I do business. And all too often, way too many people, instead of adjusting their philosophy and adjusting their way, they literally compromise. And what I would want you to pay attention to today is how many things have you adjusted in your life and how many things have you compromised your success away? So some of you, here's a simple example. I like heavy whipping cream in my coffee. When I have coffee, didn't have coffee this morning, don't need coffee. I enjoy the taste of it. I enjoy the feel of it. I enjoy the warmth, especially now that it's getting cooler. I like to take heavy whipping cream, the liquid, right, that you would whip up and turn into some good whipping cream. I like to take that milk and put it into my coffee. I just like the way that the flavor of it. I will compromise and have it and not have to go to the store right away. I'll still have the cup of coffee if I choose to have it. Sometimes I won't have it if we run out of the creamer. I'll put milk in. That's a compromise. It's not an adjustment. It's a compromise because I don't necessarily like it. It changes the way everything flavors and tastes and all of that stuff. It's a simple example. The challenge is, or the question is for you is, how many of you say you're going to adjust and get up at 5 a.m., and you compromise and you hit the snooze button? How many of you might know somebody who says, I'm going to talk to 3 people a day, and they do it on day 1, and then they compromise and don't talk to anybody? That's a big difference between adjusting. Adjusting is talking to one. Today, I'm just so busy. I was having a conversation with somebody flying from the States back to Germany this morning. And they're flying back to Germany. And I said, well, we're going to talk this afternoon. I didn't know they were boarding a flight out of the East Coast to head back to Germany. They said, well, I'm just about ready to board a flight and head back home. So I'll be on a plane. We won't be able to chat today. That's an adjustment. It's not a compromise. I didn't say, well, if we can't talk today, we ain't doing it. So that was an adjustment. I want you to pay attention to what are you compromising that you're calling adjustments, and what have you been already compromised with that you've called adjustments, that you've called a shift, a change, a pivot. How many of you remember that word? Drop a P in the chat if you remember the word pivot, right? With everybody, with all of the 2020, right? When the bug thing started. We said pivot, everything's got a pivot. So was it a pivot or was it a compromise or was it an adjustment? As you begin to start to give some clarity to these 2 words, adjustment versus compromise, you might be a little shocked, a little surprised, and maybe even overwhelmed with all of the times, all of the places, all of the ways that you were compromised into making an adjustment that was truly a compromise. Does that make sense? So how do you pay attention to this? The challenge is that when you are speaking to a prospect, when you are having a conversation with a potential business partner, and you want to talk to them about making some pivots, some adjustments, listen carefully. How many of them are already wired in to their current identity that what you are speaking to them about the possibility of success, the possibility of freedom, the possibility of more, the possibility of income, the possibility of community, the possibility of teamwork, the possibility of stepping into a leadership role, how many of them, unbeknownst to them, are seeing your dialogue as a compromise on their current identity versus an adjustment? Dr. Wayne Dyer said, change the way you look at things and the things you look at change. So now all of a sudden, if your words sound like an adjustment to you and they sound like a compromise to them, then the question is necessary. Who do I become when I make this shift? See, the compromise is that you're taking them out of their old identity. Few people want to sit in their old identity. If they've got a goal, they got a dream, they got a want, they got a desire, they're going to be somebody different. They're going to step into a new identity, a new individual, a new way, a new place, a new understanding. And when they do that, many see it as a compromise over their old self. I'm just so stupid. If all of a sudden you became smart, that's a compromise, not an adjustment. I'm such an idiot. If you weren't an idiot today, if you were not an idiot today, that would be a compromise versus an adjustment. Is that making sense? As you begin to grasp this and start to look at the way our self-talk, our neuroencoding, our mental toughness, all of these things have been shifted, skewed, slightly colored to make us feel like we are adjusting our life. We are changing our life. We're transforming our life. We're in a compromise versus our old identity. Good morning, everybody on Instagram. Good to see you all this morning. This is a compromise versus an adjustment. So how do we make sure we're doing an adjustment? It might serve us well if we ask the question, the QLQ, the quantum linguistic question, who do I become when this shifts? See, if you understand that you are shifting identities, changing identities, transforming identities, upgrading your identities, the compromise is to no longer be the same. The compromise is to no longer be the same. Hey, Sienna, how are you? Good to see you, my dear. The compromise is to no longer be the same. The adjustment is to adjust your faculties, your energy, your focus, your language, your smile. That's the adjustment that makes the compromise a lot easier during the transition. How do we know it's a compromise? Because people say, I have to get out of my comfort zone. You're not in a comfort zone. You're in a pain zone you've become comfortable with. You're in a pain zone you become comfortable with. Why would you ever leave a comfort zone? You're not comfortable. Does that make sense? So, compromise and adjustment. I would encourage you to begin to look at how it's an adjustment versus a compromise. Because when you start to look at some of the adjustments you've made in your life, you will realize that by its true definition, it was a compromise that has kept you from reaching, stepping into, arriving at the goals, the dreams, the wants, the wishes that you have set up for yourself. So that's my conversation for you this morning. 10 quick minutes. Pay attention today to the decisions that you make, the actions that you do, the habitual actions that you do. Is this as a result of a compromise of you playing less, you playing smaller than you should, you not playing as big as you want? Or is it simply a small adjustment that needs to be made to allow the transition to continue? That's my conversation with you today. Thank you for being here. I'm your head brain training, brain scrambling misfit, helping you to understand adjustment over compromise. And I'll see you where? I'll see you at the next adjusting event. Till then, thanks, Instagram. Bye for now. And I'm not sure if I ever went live on YouTube. Hey, good morning, Misfits. How are you this morning? I hope you're doing well. I hope you're having an amazing morning. Y'all staying out of trouble? For those of you that have traveled